What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another top 10 teams in the NFL. This is my top 10 teams, my ranking of the top 10 teams from 10 to 1 after week number 7 of the NFL season. And we are just 1 week away from week number 8, which means we're just 1 week away from halfway or the midway point of the NFL season. And usually at this point, we kind of have an idea of who the contenders are, who the pretenders are, or at least we're starting to form that idea. And then we definitely have an idea of the teams that we just know won't be contending this season and that are already getting ready for the NFL draft. In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10, my 10 elite teams in the NFL. But before I give you my top 10, make sure that you do Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL top 10s and NFL videos just like this. Also, comment below your opinion on my top 10. Do you agree with my top 10? Do you disagree with my top 10? Do you think there's a team outside of the top 10 that should be on this list? Do you think there's a team inside the top 10 that shouldn't be on this list? Let me know in the comments section below. Let's kick off my top 10 with the team that I didn't think actually would be this low on my top 10, but when I formed the list, they just had to be here. At number 10, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are my number 10 team in the NFL right now, and they only have one loss. Now, part of it is me looking at this Miami Dolphins game, and I understand it was a divisional game, but this is the Miami Dolphins we're talking about. And the Buffalo Bills did struggle with beating the Miami Dolphins. And this is the problem I have with the Buffalo Bills. As talented as they are on defense, as good as they can be on defense, when they are not playing at their peak level on the defensive side of the football, which they definitely weren't playing at their peak level or at 100% versus the Dolphins, their offense doesn't really have it in them to take over a game and to just carry them to a victory. Like, I want to see the Bills win a shootout, and that means that the Bills defense is going to have to play one bad game so that we can see it. But I want to see that they can win a shootout. Because if they cannot prove to me that they cannot win a shootout, that means that they are a team that's only capable of winning one way. And that's through their defense. And that's through playing a close defensive football game and not having to push the pace offensively. Now, I do like some of the things about their team. I've been a huge Bills guy through the offseason and early in this season. I like the strides I've seen from Josh Allen. Had a good game versus Miami. I like their running game, but I don't love it. I like John Brown and Cole Beasley, but I don't think they're spectacular. You know, their defense is an elite unit. I just don't know if 2019 is the year where I can truly say that they're an AFC contender. AFC playoff team? Certainly. Contender, though, is a different story. So when I'm doing these top 10s, it's not just about today or right now, but it's also about projecting forward. And for me, the Bills are sitting right now at number 10. At number 9, I have the Seattle Seahawks. And this is also a team that I did not see ranking this low on my top 10. And the reason being is because of Russell Wilson and because of Pete Carroll. Just too much respect for these two guys to honestly keep them outside of this top 10. But they did have a rough loss on Sunday. They lost to Lamar Jackson, Harbaugh, and the Ravens. A team that went into Seattle and out-Seattled Seattle. They out-physicaled. They were tougher than the Seattle Seahawks, The Baltimore Ravens were tougher than the Seattle Seahawks. And that's just something you do not see with a Pete Carroll football team. That's not something you see in the Russell Wilson era. You do not see teams walk into Seattle and out-physical them. You do not see teams win the turnover battle very often in Seattle. And that's happened twice this year. That happened versus the Saints. That happened versus the Ravens. And they honestly should have lost versus the Rams as well. So that's 3 games where they probably should have lost at home in front of the 12s in one of the best home fields in the league. Is it really still one of the best home fields in the league? Because they've been truly tested there. Now, they've figured out ways to win games as well this year. But I just question, again, too much on the back of Russell Wilson too often. And when you come against teams that are just as talented as you are, or maybe a little bit more talented, you need to find ways to take the load off his shoulders. And the Ravens, they played great defense. They did not give up the big play to Tyler Lockett. They were sturdy versus the run and steady. And honestly, the Seahawks didn't have an answer. And I question whether they have that number 2 option in the passing game consistently. And defensively, I think they will get better up front with the additions that they're gaining through Reed and Clowney getting, up to speed more physically without the training camp coming back. And then, Ezekiel Ansah being out of that game and potentially coming back. And now you traded for Diggs from the Lions, so that should help at least in the depth department. I understand all that. But the defense has definitely not been an elite unit this year, and it needs to get at least closer to mid-range for them to have an opportunity to be a team that can contend in the NFC. I just don't see how this team is talented, truly talented enough to contend with the top 3 teams right now in the NFC that I feel are very, very good. So it's not really like I'm trying to say the Seahawks are bad. I just think the NFC is so loaded that it's going to be very difficult for the Seahawks to make their way through this conference this season with the current roster and the way that they're playing and the way that they're getting pushed around at home certainly has me concerned. At number 8, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the Colts are a team that have definitely been overlooked. I picked them to beat the Texans. I think that was honestly the predictable pick. I do not think that you should be picking the Texans to beat the Colts at this point. The Colts have dominated that rivalry. The Colts had a bye week. The Colts had time to prepare. The Colts have the better coach. And yes, I'll admit it. I said the Texans are more talented. And I'll stick by that. From a roster perspective, I think the Texans are more talented. But the Colts, they're definitely, in terms of coaching, much higher above. And they match up with the Texans very, very well. And when it comes down to that, I think the Colts definitely have the inside track of winning this division. The Texans are very inconsistent. They've been dealing with injuries both on defense and offense. And Jacoby Brissett has been really good, maybe even better than I thought he would be. And trust me, I'm a big Jacoby Brissett guy. Their offense is just very well schemed. They have a balanced attack. Their offensive line is arguably the best in the league. It's top 3 at the very least. Defensively, they're solid. Darius Leonard definitely helps, and they're getting healthier in the secondary. I like the Colts a lot. I think they're very, very solid. I just don't know if they're great. I think they're good. I don't know if they're great. And I think they possibly could be a team that win 1 game in the playoffs, maybe even 2. But in terms of beating like the Patriots, I just don't know if that's happening. I think they're good, trust me. And I think they're honestly going to win their division. I just don't know if the ceiling is quite there in 2019. But I like the Colts. At number 7, I have the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers did not play last week. Christian McCaffrey was able to take a back seat and say, hey, I'm going to chill this week. I don't have to carry the ball 47 times tonight. Carolina, I think, has a very high ceiling, which separates them from the teams below them. So, like, Seahawks fans be like, why Carolina above us? Well, I think Carolina has a higher ceiling than Seattle does at this point because they are winning games without Cam Newton. Cam Newton, a former MVP quarterback, Cam Newton, a former star in the NFL, and I still believe can be a star in the NFL given that he is 100%. So Kyle Allen, again, has been playing fantastic. I think not enough credit has gone to Ron Rivera for his coaching efforts, defensively mostly. Luke Kuechly is playing like an MVP candidate on the defensive side of the football. They have a better pass rush than we've seen in years past, with Brian Burns really coming on as a rookie. And offensively, I think one of the points that I think we need to talk about is offensive line's been better. You know, it's not great, but it's been better. DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel have been solid, nothing fantastic. Honestly, I would like to see them trade for a receiver. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd like to see it. Greg Olsen is there still, and he's a compliment to what they do, and McCaffrey is playing like an MVP. So I feel like the Panthers, just comparing them to the Seahawks, have a better defense. I think they have just as good, if not better, complementary weapons. And I think their coaching is very comparable as well. So if they had Cam Newton with this defense, their potential is through the roof. Their potential is Super Bowl contender. So that's what I have here at number 6 for the Carolina Panthers. At number 6, the Baltimore Ravens. I just said the Carolina Panthers were number 6. I was wrong. They were number 7. Sorry. The Baltimore Ravens are number 6. The Baltimore Ravens really proved versus the Seahawks that not only is Lamar Jackson a playmaker that no other team has in the NFL, he proved in that game that in any game that he steps on the field, he's the best athlete on the field. It doesn't matter. The guy is redonkulous with what he can do. He is the most elusive runner right now, quarterback or running back in the NFL, making people miss. He is running for 100 yards a game. I've never seen it before in my life. He's the best running quarterback I've ever seen, and he's passing the ball fairly well, at least well enough, especially without his top receiver, and then his number 1 tight end is dropping the ball constantly and not making plays for him. The offensive line is solid, very good run blocking wise. Defensively is only going to get better with their additions to their secondary. The corner play is going to get better. Marcus Peters already showed that it can improve just by adding 1 corner, and they're going to figure it out on that side of the ball. I think truly the Ravens are that team in the AFC that I think is the second best team in this conference right now. I think they're the second best, most well-rounded team. They've scored the most points per game in the league so far. Their defense, like I said, will get better. And to me, I think they are on a road to the AFC Championship. Now, I could be wrong, and if Mahomes gets healthy and the Chiefs can turn it around, the Chiefs seem to give the Ravens issues, but with the Ravens adding to their secondary, that should help in a matchup with the Chiefs. Overall, though, I have the Ravens at number 6. At number 5, I've been super impressed with the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, their play-action game, working off the run game, their offensive line, the drastic improvement we've seen from last season to this season, the coaching on both sides of the ball. The defense has been pretty good. Last game wasn't their best effort, but mostly, especially at home, elite. On the road, needs a little bit of work, and I want to see that get better if they want to win on the road in the playoffs, which likely will have to happen if the Green Bay Packers win their division. But Kirk Cousins, man, people need to start giving this guy credit because with protection, with a running game, he's good. He's good. He's certainly good enough to be effective off play action. He's certainly good enough to make you pay when you go light in the secondary, try to put people in the box, and then with Diggs and Thielen, it's pretty dangerous and it's pretty difficult to stop. So if you can't stop the run without committing players to the box, you are done versus the Vikings. If the Vikings can see that you cannot stop the run, they're rather, 1, going to run the ball, or 2, they're going to run the ball till you commit people, then they're going to pass the ball. And it's very simple, but it's been very effective for the Vikings. I give them a lot of credit. At number 4, I have the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, I think, versus Oakland did one thing for me, and that simply was confirm that they're very good. Now, I knew that the Packers were good, but I didn't know how good. And to me, the Oakland Raiders game, even though it was at home versus an average opponent, I really felt like there was still something missing from the Packers. And the thing that was missing from the Packers to me was vintage Aaron Rodgers. And what we saw versus the Raiders was vintage Aaron Rodgers with an epic performance. And Aaron Rodgers, he's a bad man type of performance. And that's what we saw. You know, the defense, I think honestly has been trending backward, like downward. It's still good. It has its moments, but I don't think it's fantastic. Definitely has its flaws. But if their offense can continue to click, even without Devontae Adams, which they'll get back, Matt LaFleur's been really good. I mean, I didn't give this guy enough credit, obviously, before the season. I didn't really think he was going to be fantastic. I thought he'd be okay, but not great. And he's definitely been great. And he's been a perfect complement to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones has been great. And Aaron Rodgers is starting to click. He's starting to gain confidence in his weapons, in this offense. This offensive line is incredible. And I think if Aaron Rodgers plays this way, with the improvement on defense, with the running game, this is a dangerous team. And this is a team that can go to the Super Bowl. So the Packers, to me, are here at number 4. At number 3, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are what we thought they were. They have a great defensive line. They're going to torment you out front. And then offensively, they're going to run the ball until you can stop it. And now they've added Emmanuel Sanders. To me, their most talented receiver now on their roster, who I think is going to become Jimmy G's number 1 receiver on third down. George Kittle's the best tight end in football. And with Sanders, you add another weapon to the mix of the 49ers. I still want to see with this added weapon that the 49ers can consistently pass the ball, because that's the one thing we haven't seen, because we haven't needed to see it. And that win versus the Redskins wasn't overly impressive, but just to win in a sloppy slip and slide game in Washington where the field was really bad, you're a West Coast team, not known for going to the East Coast and winning that type of football game. I think that's still impressive nonetheless, and they're still dominating up front. They're still doing it without their top 2 tackles and their fullback. Once they get those guys back, they could certainly be the best team in the NFC. I'm not denying it. I just think there's a team right now that's playing slightly better. So that's why I have to give the edge to the New Orleans Saints at number 2. The Saints back at number 2. 49ers took their place. They've kind of been swapping over the past couple of weeks. And just what the Saints did to the Bears was just super impressive. Just dominant on both sides of the line of scrimmage, offensive line, defensive line. They're just really, really good. They have maybe the best offensive line in the league. They have a top 3 defensive line in the league. Secondary's playing a lot better than expected. And Teddy Bridgewater's doing his thing. Even without Alvin Kamara, they continue to create explosive plays and control the line of scrimmage and control the time of possession. Latavius Murray was able to take over and be effective. And the Saints, to me, look like they are the team right now in the NFC. Like I said, I think the 49ers or the Packers are right on their heels, so they can't slip up. But the Saints look like they do not have a flaw right now. I cannot name one area where I say, you know what, Saints aren't really great there. You know, sure, could they have a number 2 receiver that you'd like more than what they have? Yeah, I guess. Sure, could they have maybe a better second or third corner play? Yeah, sure. But how many teams can actually stop Michael Thomas, stop Alvin Kamara, stop the scheme from Sean Payton? You stop that offensive line, actually get pressure on the quarterback, which is difficult to do. Defensively, nobody can run the ball on them. Nobody. So, to me, the Saints, they're number 2. And at number 1, the New England Patriots. To me right now, the Super Bowl is the Patriots and the Saints. It would be a Tom Brady, Drew Brees showdown. But it wouldn't really be a showdown between the offenses. It would be a showdown between the defenses. I continue to say it week after week. I don't know how you score versus this Patriots defense. If you don't have Julio, Odell, and Tyreek Hill at receiver, I don't know how you get open. Like, I don't know. You look at Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts. The boogeymen, they're coming for you week after week. I pray for Baker Mayfield. It's over before it starts versus this Patriots team. What the Patriots are doing defensively right now is just as impressive to me. It reminds me of what I saw in 07 from their offense. It's different level type of stuff. It's dominance. This team is unbelievable right now, and their offense is just getting started. And people are saying it's playing poorly. It's not. It's still good. It's just not at 100%. And once it gets there, it's going to be scary good. So, Patriots are the best team in the league again. We'll see if anyone can decrown them and anyone can take them down. And I'm honestly intrigued to see what team gives them the most difficult matchup in the next few weeks, because this is the most difficult part of their schedule. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL. It's been Mitch. Thanks for watching my top 10. Comment below yours. We'll see you next time. Peace.